welcome to Cindy's Library. This is Cindy, and today I'm going to talk about what I have read so far for the month of March, mostly for middle grade March, but that's okay. It's a good time of the year. So let us get started. This is actually a chapter book, a bit more than the earliest easy readers, I would say, that are in chapters. The Pursuit of the Pilfered Cheese by Haley Stewart. This is about a little colony of mice. Most of them are nuns. They also run a school for the local mice. And they happen to live underneath the floorboards of none other than G.K. Chesterton. Yes, you heard that right. But their roof, aka the floors, well, they need a bit of work. And there's a cat above, so they really need to take care of that. So what better way to earn money for the new roof than by a fair or festival, or there will be all sorts of games and prizes and things to look at and buy and sell. And the grand prize, of course, is this amazing block of cheese. But it gets stolen, hence the pursuit of the pilfered cheese. Very fun. I enjoyed it. I also read The Cat Who Taught Zen by James Norbury. It's a slow book, and I would say in some ways it's a slider book, in some ways not, but absolutely gorgeous illustrations, as you can see, of different types. Oh, and going back to the pursuit of the pilfered cheese, it has amazing illustrations as well. I also read The Latin Letters of C.S. Lewis, which was between C.S. Lewis and Don Giovanni Calabria. And so, yeah, C.S. Lewis actually got a letter from Don Giovanni. He'd gotten the good father's attention, I think, when Screwtape it was translated into the Italian. But Don Giovanni was not certain how good C.S. Lewis's Italian was, so he did the next best thing. He wrote in Latin, and C.S. Lewis responded in Latin, and it's great. So in here, we have Latin on one side and the English translation on the other, which is a good thing, because I do have a little bit of experience with Romance languages, but not nearly enough to do Latin. And also read finished the 7 Gospels, the many lives of Christ in the Book of Mormon. This has an introduction and a conclusion, and 7 chapters, which are in the format of letters between Rosalynde F. Welch and Adam S. Miller. So we have the Gospel of Mary as presented by Nephi in his vision, and the Gospel of King Benjamin and Abinadi and Alma the Younger and Abish and Samuel Williamanite and the brother of Jared, each of us which tells us a little more about the Christ that they saw. Really enjoyed it. really glad to finish it up during this season leading up to Easter. I also read Ranald Bannerman's Boyhood by George MacDonald. This is the story of a boy named Ranald Bannerman. His father is sadly a widower. He has, one older brother and two younger brothers, I believe. And then the housekeeper, who they don't particularly like very much. And it's about him growing up, making mistakes, learning lessons, sometimes doing exactly what should be done, and the influence of a farm boy who works for his father, nicknamed Turkey. Beautiful portrait of boyhood. So glad I read it. Can recommend. Let's see. I also read another book about a boy, Penrod by Booth Tarkington. Penrod is a very different kind of boy than Ranald is. Penrod is very much a boy's boy. Not that Ranald isn't. And not that they both don't get into scrapes. And not that he isn't sensitive about certain subjects. But Ranald seems more, shall we say, spiritually aware. Penrod is a brick. As receptive as a brick as far as that goes. It's also different in that we pretty much see all of Ranald Bannerman's boyhood. Penrod is basically a year or so in the life of Penrod. The sad thing is he gets into scrapes and doesn't always even recognize why. Just being a boy. But I grew to care for him by the end, even though if I had been one of his schoolmates, I probably would have agreed with the majority opinion that he was the worst boy in the village. Might give you some idea of how people felt. Penrod I read specifically for middle grade March. That is my one-word title pick, and that certainly fits for that. Also read The Mona Lisa Vanishes by Nicholas Day. That one was a very interesting one. Non-fiction. It was mostly text, but did have some illustrations scattered in it. Kind of like a cartoon version of what was going on, sort of. Anyway, very interesting. I learned some things. Middle graders would probably find the tone engaging, and the subject is certainly interesting enough. I want to say it was 1907. Could be wrong about the exact year, though, but about that time. A Mona Lisa really was stolen. And we go back, we talk about Leonardo da Vinci, who he was, some highlights from his life, how he even came to paint the Mona Lisa, how it ended up in the Louvre in Paris, and of course how it was stolen, and how they tried to find it, and how it eventually was found. So, very interesting. Glad I read it. And then, I guess this will count for March Mystery Madness is I read A Caribbean Mystery by Agatha Christie. And in this one, we get lots of Miss Marple, lots from her perspective. So, Miss Marple, we've heard her talk about her nephew before. Not remembering his name, but she has this nephew. And while he is sometimes exasperated by his aunt, he is also rather fond of his aunt. And Miss Marple's health not being the best anymore, he decides she needs to spend some time on a Caribbean island. So that's exactly what happens. He pays for a Caribbean vacation for Miss Marple, which is how she ends up at this little resort hotel on one of the islands there. Lots of visitors. Apparently, in the not too distant past, it has come under new management. I guess the old ones retired, and this is a new young couple, late 20s, early 30s, something like that, I'm guessing, who are now running the place. And you have the various characters, the canon and his sister, the two scientific couples who seem to be best friends, the elderly paralytic invalid who's extremely wealthy, and you have the colonel who likes to tell boring stories about his past. But Mrs. Marple is polite and at least tries to look like she is listening. And while they are talking one day, gets on the subject of murders, and he says, "You know, I have a picture of a murderer. Would you like to see it?" So he gets out his wallet, he's going through it to find a picture, and then he sees something that stops him instantly. He puts the wallet back and talks about something completely different. Well, that might not be too alarming, except that by the next day the good colonel is dead. Well, everyone says he had high blood pressure and possibly forgot his medication or something. All the alcohol he had the previous night probably didn't help. But Miss Marple is not so sure. And of course, we all know Miss Marple in the end will be proven to be right. But then the question becomes, well, who did kill the colonel? And why would anyone have wanted to kill the colonel? Great fun with plenty of suspects. Anyway, that is what I have read so far for March. A good start. Gotten through several items for middle grade March, and even one unexpected item for March Mystery Madness, so all good. How's your March been going? Have you been participating in any of the read-alongs? Love to hear about it. Thank you so much for stopping by. Truly do appreciate it. So, until next time, I hope we all stay safe and healthy. And as always, happy reading.